creation. Why should I perceive 1,000 forms and what remains is one? Why should I give this one 1,000 names when only one suffices? For your son must bear your name, for you created him. Lesson 262. Let me perceive no differences today. We're on the workbook. We're on getting close to the end. The seventh inning stretch. Let me perceive no differences today. Yesterday's was God is my refuge and security. And before that we had this reading, what is the body? Let me perceive no differences today. So we are in the world of perception, which is subject and object, which is there's a me and there's a you. There's a perceiver and a perceived. And it seems like we are different, and we never the twain shall meet. We can never be alike. And we can never be a love either, right? We're different until, forever. That's what it looks like, right, on the surface. But let's read this, and then we'll talk about it. Okay, so let me perceive no differences today. Paragraph 1 starts with a prayer to God the Father. Father, you have one Son. and it is he that I would look upon today. He is your one creation. Why should I perceive 1,000 forms in what remains as one? Why should I give this one 1,000 names when only one suffices? For your son must bear your name, for you created him. Let me not see him as a stranger to his father, nor as stranger to myself. For he is part of me and I of him, and we are part of you who are our source, eternally united in your love, eternally the Holy Son of God. Paragraph 2. We who are one would recognize this day the truth about ourselves. We would come home and rest in unity, for there is peace, and nowhere else can peace be sought and found. Okay, let's go through it again. Go through it a little slower. Let me perceive no differences today. Father, you have one son. This is an important line, right? You have one son. This is something that Jesus emphasized in the text as well. He said, it's important to remember that God only has one son, right? That was an important line early on in the text. Jesus made a point to say, it's important to remember here that God only has one son, right? Why the emphasis on that? Well, maybe because Jesus keeps talking about sons, right? The different sons, there's a lot of sons. There's a lot of sons of God, right? And it would seem, and some people interpret the Course this way, that in reality, in heaven, in the state of unity, there are still differences between the sons of God, right? There's not one son. There are different sons, maybe like angels, like we're all angels, right? We don't have any egos anymore, but we're all separate, but we're all unified. We don't have any ego, so there's only love. Maybe that's true. But Jesus is also emphasizing there's only one son, right? Now, it could be that he's emphasizing there's only one son because he wants us he wants to help us to understand that we're all really of one mind here. We all share the same two minds. We have an ego mind, and we have the mind that is the mind of God, really, which is the mind that can think along the lines of the Holy Spirit, which is love and forgiveness. The ego is fear, sin, guilt, and everything that goes along with that. So he wants to emphasize there's only one son. We're all in the same boat. We all have the same condition, right? We all have the same basic apparatus that we're working with, right? We're no one is exempt. Everyone here shares that same the insane ego thought system, but also has the ability to choose against that thought system and choose for the Holy Spirit. And we all have that ability, and no one is exempt from that either. Father, you have one son, and it is he that I would look upon today. So we want to see our brother as we would like to be seen, which is that loving self that we know that we are, right? In our heart of hearts, we know I really am a being of love, right? I might not always think loving thoughts. I might not always say loving things. I may not always act lovingly, but I want to be that, right? I want to be the loving self that I really am, because I realize, especially as, I think if you've got to live a little bit to realize that anything else doesn't really work, right? You could try, but you're not going to feel good. Right? That's why I think a lot of people are walking around sick. They're walking around mad. They're walking around feeling bitter. They're walking around feeling depressed. Why? Because they don't have this understanding, right? And it's not really necessarily our job to force the Course on anyone, right? That's not something that we have to do. all we have to do is our own inner work, and that's going to help everyone, right? And the Course is very, Jesus is very emphatic about that all you need to do is change your own mind, right? And that's gonna have the necessary effect that you want, right? The effect that you really want is going to come from changing your own mind. Father, you have one Son, and it is he that I would look upon today. He is your one creation. Why should I perceive 1,000 forms and what remains is one? Everyone is that one Son. Everything, not just every person, every human, but every animal, every creature, every situation, every little thing, right? That we come in contact with is that one Son. Nothing is outside of that. Why should I perceive 1,000 forms and what remains is one? So let me not see that there are these surface differences, but let me see the truth. Let me see the underlying truth that we are all one spirit, which is really the true truth, right? Right. For your Son must bear your name, for you created him. Let me not see him as a stranger to his Father, nor as stranger to myself. For he is part of me, and I of him, and we are part of you, who are our source, eternally united in your love, eternally the Holy Son of God. You could see, how this could go back to what Jesus said in the Gospels, where he was asked, what's the most important commandment? And Jesus said in the Gospels, I believe it's first, I don't know if it's in Mark, could be in Mark actually. I think it's in Mark, Luke, and Matthew. Jesus is asked, what's the most important commandment? He says, love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, with all thy might, and thy neighbor as thyself. And both of those come from the Old Testament. Those are not new things that Jesus said. Those are actually I believe they're both in Leviticus. I'd have to check. I know that love thy neighbor as thyself is in Leviticus. And also remember that in John, Jesus says, I have a new commandment, love one another as I have loved you. Right? That's new in John. That's not something from the, I don't think that's anywhere in the Old Testament. But the other two are, where Jesus is asked, what's the most important commandment, Rabbi? And he says, love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, with all thy might, and love thy neighbor as thyself. Everything else is commentary on that, right? Everything else is leading to that. And Jesus is saying the same thing. You have to see your brother as that one Son, as the one creation, as the loving creation of a loving Creator, and that unites us all, right? And that unites us all with each other, and also helps us to remember that we are ultimately one with God, and that we are one and the same. We are not different. And again, what does that look like in reality? Who knows, right? Who really knows? People can argue about these things, have debates. Jesus advises not to have debates, right? That's a waste of time. You don't need to argue and debate with people about ultimate reality. People have been doing that for ages, and hasn't gotten anyone anywhere. It's only gotten the people that really want to know, right? If you really want to know, you will find out. And if you want to keep debating, you probably don't want to know, right? Because you're going to keep thinking that, if I just come up with a better argument, or a better way of reasoning, or a better way of talking about this, I can talk my way to God. No, Jesus is saying you can't do that, right? Ultimately, you have to go beyond reasoning. You have to go beyond concepts. You have to go beyond words. Even logic is it can be a barrier, right? Although logic is very important, and this course is very logical. That's important to understand, that this course is like a philosophical system that Jesus is presenting. He doesn't say that, but it's very, very logical, and Helen was very logical, and she wanted everything to be logical, right? It's got to make sense. It's got to be reasonable. So the Course is very logical, very reasonable, very rational. But ultimately, this is going to take you beyond that rational mind, because what is the rational mind? I hope this doesn't shut off. I think it is going to shut off. All right, I should have checked how much I have. But anyway, shoot. Am I still here? Okay, I guess I am still here. We'll cut this short very, very soon. We who are one would recognize this day the truth about ourselves. We would come home and rest in unity, for there is peace, and nowhere else can peace be sought and found. So I thought this was going to shut off, but I'm glad it didn't. Anyway, reason and rationality and logic are still part of the ego thought system, right? They're part of that thinking in terms of linear, temporal, spatial, thinking in terms of time and space and linearity, and those are all still the part of the ego thought system. This is taking us beyond into that eternal presence, eternal presence. So let's call it a video. I hope this was helpful. And just keeping that understanding in mind, that we're really all in the same boat, right? The sonship, Jesus calls us the sonship. We're all in the same boat. No one is even though you may look outside of yourself, you may see people better off. They're richer. They seem to be happier. They seem to be more successful. And then you look at other people and they seem to be doing a lot worse than you. But really, the way we want to start to see everyone is that one son, just like we are. If I see my brother in any way where I either put him on a pedestal, or him or her, right, or degrade them or belittle them or anything, I'm not seeing correctly, right? I'm perceiving differences, and I want to start to see that we are all the same, and how I see the other, how I see my brother, is how I see myself, right? Whatever judgment I have against my brother in any way is a judgment against myself. And if I want to be at peace, if I want to be in the joy, if I want to be in that place where I ultimately go home to love, then I have to start to become more and more aware of these judgments that I'm making, and let them go, and just see the love. Don't see anything else, right? See, just be in that calm presence, right? Calm presence, calm place of observation and presence. Let me perceive no differences today. Let me perceive no differences today. Father, you have one Son, and it is He that I would look upon today. We who are one would recognize this day the truth about ourselves. We would come home and rest in unity. There is peace, and nowhere else can peace be sought and found. Let me not see my brother as a stranger to his father, nor a stranger to myself. For he is part of me, and I of him, and we are part of you who are our source, eternally united in your love, eternally the Holy Son of God. Peace out. Peace in.